From the Texas Senate primary between Jasmine Crockett and James Talarico. And do either of you guys have a read on this race?
Do y'all hear this? Do you hear
Well,
JVL? Do you hear
I don't
Tim
know.
Miller? Do you hear Sarah
Yeah,
Loveland?
something.
Anybody?
I don't.
Feelings, yeah,
Here's
Ryan.
a read I have. I guess I have a few things to say. Here's a read I have on the race. Is that there is a lot of interest in it, and we've seen the early vote numbers are spiked, like the cortisol levels at the cannibal, all over Texas. They're spiked in, Dallas, where Jasmine Crockett's district is, heavily black district, a lot of big turnout that they're spiked. Across some of the Austin, San Antonio area where people presume Talarico will do well. So, I think that folks are going to be turning out about it for sure. These two candidates have certainly um, enamored the imaginations of Democratic partisans. And so congratulations to them for that.
That's Tim Miller leading into the question. The question that Tim Miller was being asked is, what's your take on Texas? He's saying that there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of early voting, there's a lot of numbers that are starting to make challenges to Democrats just don't vote. There's a lot of hype.
I don't think that the primary has done anything to help Democrats win this seat. It's done a lot to damage it, I think. I have two observations about Crockett, though, that are going to be totally contradictory. So if you're pro-Crockett or anti-Crockett, I'll give you something to like. The anti-Crockett thing is I think that she's run the worst Democratic Senate campaign that I've seen since Cal Cunningham.
So just going off right now, Tim Miller has announced that Jasmine Crockett is running the worst campaign that he's ever experienced. Now, what comes in the following is he's not going to explain what she's doing wrong. He's not going to explain about her messaging. He's going to talk about another candidate who did weird shit with sexting. Jasmine Crockett is running a bad campaign. I'm going to tell you about another dude who ran a funky messaging, sexting, whatever.
Cost the Democrats a North Carolina Senate seats by being a weird sexter.
See, he's not talking about Jasmine
It's kind of
Crockett.
hard to not be a weird sexter.
He's
Sexting
still
by
not
nature is
talking about
weird.
Jasmine
Cal was,
Crockett.
even in a category where everything is weird, he was particularly weird, and that didn't really help.
He is not talking about Jasmine Crockett
For the election. But I still don't know what Jasmine Crockett's message is. Jasmine Crockett this week.
It is the year of our Lord, 2026. There is no way you don't know what Jasmine Crockett stands for. She's a civil rights attorney before she came to Congress, before she became a state representative, before she became a United States representative for the state of Texas. Should she be elected, she will go across the hall, whereas James Talarico will be going from a Texas state senate to Washington, D.C. to orient himself into being a federal employee.
And did a lengthy diatribe about my friend Liz Smith alleging.
I'm going to go off real quick about this. There are two books in tandem. Why We Did It by Tim Miller and Any Given Tuesday by Liz Smith, L-I-S, Smith. And in it, there are two people who do not win campaigns. Their entire role is to find shit on other people to give to their candidate so they can run trash on their opponent. It's not ideological. It's, I can catch you doing dirty shit, and I want you to be subservient to my candidate.
She works for James Talarico. If she did work for James Talarico, I don't really understand why Texas voters would have cared about that. I guess she doesn't work for James Talarico. So
why does it matter?
It's pretty.
You think about anything. We talk about Kamala Harris when she had, run for office and stuff like that. And she had so much momentum. Coconuts was a thing, and everybody, she was brat. It was brat summer. And everything was in her way. But once they brought in the Democratic people, the Obama people, the former people who ran campaigns, they had her running with Republicans. They had her running with Republicans whose voting records took away human rights, whose voting records supported Israel as they created genocide against Palestinian people in Gaza. That's the advice that Tim Miller wants. Tim Miller wants a campaign in the way you open up your football playbook, and sometimes you run a flea flick, sometimes you go for a long pass, and sometimes you just run the ball as the cue.
Thing. It's like it's a very online thing. You're not talking to any voters about something that matters.
Very online thing.
It's impossible
Again,
to imagine Barack Obama.
Had he not talked about this right now, in this moment, I wouldn't know that Jasmine Crockett said anything about Liz Smith. Like, I don't even know that Jasmine Crockett knew Liz Smith until Tim Miller said Jasmine Crockett talked shit about Liz Smith. James Tallarico also has James Carville helping run his campaign as an advisor. James Carville is the most wrong person ever in progressive circles. His big tagline is "The economy's stupid." And in doing that, they start focusing on business and money. The economy is the citizen who needs to eat, who needs to cover his ass, and needs someplace to sleep. That's the economy.
I have before a primary doing a aside about Mark Penn or whatever, some random Hillary snapper. Like it's just bad.
Again, he's not talking about a campaign. He's not talking about a message. He's talking about Barack Obama. He's talking about Hillary Clinton. He's talking about staffers. He is not talking about Jasmine Crockett, the content of her message, the content of her voting record, the content of her campaign. He's saying there is no campaign. He's saying there is no message. But that's what he's saying. I follow Jasmine Crockett directly. Clock it with Crockett. Dig? I see Jasmine Crockett on Black Media, on Roland Hunter. I hear her talking through Karen Hunter. You know what I'm saying? And here we are. White man, white woman, white other man. So we're watching these white people denigrate this black woman who is highly educated, who is a voting record as a great communicator and person of conscience. She can explain why she votes in ways that we're a little iffy on because there's always context. It isn't just, here we presented a thing, we voted on it yes or no. There is so much dirt. There is so much dirt in everything that we're voting for right now. We, not we, as proxy. There's so much dirt that for the flecks of gold, we're leaving a lot of water, dirt, and sluice. So when she votes yes, she votes no on something, speaking of Jasmine Crockett, it's because this needs to go away or this was sweetened the pot. Like I say, if any of you guys can't hear the audio in the chat, just let me know. I'm doing my best. I want to try and figure this out. We can't just listen to me talk all day. I can listen to me talk all day. Nobody else should have to.
That said,
do y'all hear Tim Miller in the chat? Do you guys hear Tim Miller talking?
The numbers are the numbers. I mean, she's turning out people. And I'm about to say something that's going to blow Sarah's mind, that if somehow Jasmine Crockett comes out of this primary and wins, and I would bet on James Tallarico today, but very narrow.
Good.
I think it's very close. It's going to be very close.
You hear what he just said? Now, what he's saying is if it comes down to James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett, Tim Miller is saying it's going to be so very close. So very close. James Tallarico is an evangelical. James Tallarico is a born again. James Tallarico speaks from the Bible, Mediterranean wisdom from thousands of years ago that has been processed and brought to us by the corrupt Caesar of Rome. And James Tallarico is using that to sprinkle a little crack on the U.S. Constitution that he's running for the office of U.S. Senator for the state of Texas. Jasmine Crockett, on the other hand, while she has a Christian faith, she's a civil rights lawyer. She is a Black woman. She is a representative for the state of Texas in Washington, D.C. So Tim Miller is denigrating a capable person over somebody else.
If she comes out and wins, and this happens in politics sometimes, she is the right place at the right time. She rides a wave. The economy gets way worse. Donald Trump invades Iran. Donald Trump gets down below the line, and she gets swept into victory, into the Senate in Texas. Jasmine Crockett becomes, I think, the front runner in the Democratic campaign for president in 2020.
So Tim Miller just said, by happenstance, by accident, by being in the right place in the right time, this capable, this educated, this great communicator, this woman, this Black woman of excellence will happenstance into the presidency should she eke out a win over born-again evangelical James Tallarico, whose heart is on Jesus and not the U.S. Constitution that gives us in our country our rights. You dig what I'm saying? Just making sure in the chat, you all can hear me. You all can hear Tim Miller being a dirtbag, correct?
Woo!
Awesome.
Because there's nobody.
Wow.
There's nobody right now that could dominate. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Black vote is very critical in the Democratic primary. There's nobody right now.
I don't want to be irritated about that. You know, the Bulwark is headed by Sarah Longwell. Sarah Longwell of the Longwell Group. The Longwell Group was created to help get Republicans elected into office. So when she's doing her polling, the core of what her business was to find out what people were doing. Thanks. You ready? You have a great day. So what they're talking about is doing polls. They have people, they put out a script. I need this character to show up so I can start asking questions. And then the character shows up to the polls to ask the questions, the focus groups, and they recite the things that they're supposed to say as the things. Now, what the Longwell Group doesn't do, the Longwell Group doesn't go out and be around people. The Longwell Group sends out a sheet. They say they need this character. This character shows up, and then this character plays out the script. If you go down to Stewart's, I'm in upstate New York, everything's Stewart's. Stewart's are Cumberland Farms. If you go down to Stewart's right now, and you're going to see the old men reading their newspaper, drinking their coffee, eating their eggwich, they're not talking the same way that Sarah Longwell talks about people. They aren't talking about the same conversations that she has in these focus groups. In my head, the focus group is people putting on a lab coat, breaking out their, clipboard, taking notes like a scientist. But when I'm listening to Black media, they're talking to their families. They're talking to people at church. They're talking to people at functions. They're talking to people at the store. They're interacting with people of diversity so they can speak on the diversity of people. But the Bulwark, Crooked, MSNBC, MS Now, CNN, all them, when they talk about their polling, they're rounding up a small group. They're getting a percentage of a small group of people who can speak on the things that they can fathom that the people doing the polls want to know about. You know what I'm saying? It's very small. It's very focused. If I go out everywhere, talk to everybody on the street, do you want your shirt to be on fire? No. They will all agree. But what I don't talk about is how their shirt would get on fire. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not yes or no, do you want your shirt to be on fire? The conversation is, why is my shirt going to be on fire? You know what I'm saying? This is what polling and focus groups like the Longwell Group, like Polar Coaster on Crooked, like Rasmussen, this is what polling is.
That would have a stranglehold on that. And if a black woman won in Texas,
black woman, abstract,
I think it would be impossible to stop her. So how about that? This is why politics is fun. I simultaneously think she is running the second one.
He's having fun making shit up. On a public venue that people tune in for to be educated about the political world, about our candidates, about running for government. Do you know what I'm saying? And here's this slap nuts who's giving a 50-50. He talked about a candidate who was not in the Texas race, who was sexting. He was talking about Barack Obama and AIDS of his. He's talking about Hillary Clinton and AIDS of hers. He's talking about James Tallarico without talking about James Tallarico, and then denigrates the front-runner candidate who has the numbers in a majority-minority state, right? And tells that it's luck, that it's happenstance, it's on accident, that when she wins, because she's known, when she wins, she will be the front runner for president. So it's like what he's saying is, while I see that she is everything that could be swept in, it's luck, it's the right time, it's the right place. And at no point is he saying this educated and capable woman has the potential to run the country.
Democratic Senate campaign of the last decade. And if in spite of that she wins, I think that she's front runner in 2020.
He's laughing at a black woman
Those
candidate.
Those are my Texas Senate hot takes for you.
Winning on her merit.
I'm not taking that bait.
Oh, come on.
I'll say some different things. So it's interesting to me. I'll get around back to it a little. But it's been interesting to me to watch this campaign, because it's a bit of a microcosm of what's going on in the Democratic Party, especially.
Sarah Longwell has no idea what's going on in the Democratic Party. Sarah Longwell is a never Trumper. She was a Republican who bought the TV narrative. This is what Democrats do. This is what Republicans do. This is where their divide is. We need to fight for the center. That's the world that Sarah Longwell grew up in, watching on TV, listening to pundits talk about, but it is not the actual part of American government, of elections. The electorate doesn't live in the world that Sarah Longwell is presenting right now.
There's just like some fun things about it that,
so fun.
For example, the way that people have decided that she codes progressive and Tallarico codes moderate. Let
me help you with this. She doesn't code progressive. She's a black woman who serves abolition as a civil rights lawyer. And that's what a progressive message is. James Tallarico is a born again, is an evangelical who speaks more Bible than he does the U.S. Constitution. Does he code moderate? No. He's the Trojan horse that Republicans are going to hide in until it's okay to be Republican again.
Things true. Like, she's actually, despite the way that, because she's a fighter, but like policy wise, and it's interesting Rorschach around vibes
Denigrating
versus
a black
policies.
educated
Because
woman,
she's a vibes candidate, right?
blaming
She
it
is.
on vibes.
I go out there and I
See, my problem is people like The Bulwark, people like Crooked, people like MS Now who watch The Bulwark and Crooked feeling like they're being fringe and edgy. They use words like vibes because it's a buzzword. And then they talk about vibes. What are they not talking about? They're not talking about policy. They're not talking about voting records. They aren't talking about intellectual concepts that are spoken about. Vibes. That's why people vote for idiots, because we're turning into political voices who don't see truth. They see vibes. When you listen to Karen Hunter, Sabby Sabs, Amanda Seals, Roland Martin, Greg Carr, Brianna Joy Gray, Larry Daniel Favors, when you listen to them, you hear context, you hear content, you hear voting records, you hear matters on the ground. This is an abstract conversation of punditry by white people who exist in a space where the only black people that they bring on is Ta-Nehisi Coates, Stacey Abrams, and Gwen Ifill if there's a civil rights issue.
Things that you are all thinking. It's a Trumpy kind of campaign. It's
matter of fact, I'm gonna jump out. She just compared Jasmine Crockett to Donald Trump. Wrap your head around that. Our house is about to wake up. My house. They had a late delay for snow. I'm gonna drop out from my live. But I wanted to give commentary to Tim Miller's commentary, because this is who drives white, progressive people in the United States, because they don't know that there's black media that covers issues and talks about things. I'm Nick G. I'm a dude on the couch. If you plant me, I grow. If you're gonna believe in someone, why not believe in me?